Let's unbox the Funko Pop vinyl Bo-Katan Kryze on the throne.
Villa Varykino. If it's Star Wars, we collect it.
Hello there. Thanks for visiting Villa Varykino. I absolutely love the storyline of Bo-Katan Kryze in Season 3 of The Mandalorian. The way that actress Katie Sackhoff brought Bo-Katan to life after originating her in the animated series The Clone Wars was just incredible. So when I saw Funko was going to be doing a deluxe pop vinyl of Bo-Katan on the throne, I knew I had to have it for my collection. Here in New Zealand, unfortunately, the deluxe pop vinyls do tend to be on the pricier side. This one in particular was about the same as 3 standard Funkos, which is a little bit more on the pricier side, and I wasn't really happy with that price point, so I decided to wait in the hopes of it would last until it went on sale, which it did. So I finally grabbed this one. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Coming up really soon, of course, we're going to get Bo-Katan out of the box so we can take a closer look at all of the details, but first let's take one last look at the packaging. This is a fairly standard deluxe box for Funko. We have the character name very clearly here, Bo-Katan Kryze on the throne, and this one is number 669. We've got a lovely big window here so we can clearly see Bo-Katan in there. Of course, we also have that window on the top letting in lots of light if you do like to keep your Funkos in their boxes. Just a nice clear Star Wars logo here. Of course, for the Mandalorian, we've kind of got this orange-brown color palette for that Funko line, and we've got the Funko Pop vinyl logo there at the top. Again, nice big clear windows on the side. We can see that we have a bit of a clamshell plastic holding the Funko in place. So we've got a couple of layers of plastic to look through to the Funko inside. Personally, I do prefer just one layer. We can see that we've got the Mythosaur skull symbol printed on the insert behind the figure. Always a nice touch. We've got the Funko name here, Bo-Katan Kryze on the throne, 669 here down the side. And on the back, we get a little bit of a clearer picture of the pose of Bo-Katan on her throne. We've got that title there again, and some of the other Funkos that came out at the same time. We can see we've got Din Djarin, Palimoto, the Armorer, lots of cool ones there. And of course, we have the Mandalorian series logo there as well. Big classic Star Wars logo, 669, it says collect them all. I am certainly trying to. On the side, another window. We don't have any kind of previews of Bo-Katan's face like we do on some of the standard Funko boxes. It is just herself there through the window and those pictures there on the back, and pretty much standard stuff on the base there. So let's get her out so we can take a better look. I'm going to open this box from the underside just in case I crease the flaps. It'll be hidden when I put the box on my display shelf. Okay, nice and easy. Let's get this one out. I'm going to slide it out. There we go. And we can see that cool Mythosaur symbol. You can even take this out and put this behind her on display if you're taking it out. It's nice that those insert pieces are removable, so nice and easily. Okay. That was well attached, very loud there. And now we can lift her out of the box. Wow, she looks so cool. Okay, I'm just going to quickly clear this packaging away. I do think the deluxe Funkos look pretty cool in their boxes, but because of all of that extra space and packaging around them, personally for me, I do enjoy taking them out so I can appreciate them and see all of the details close up. So of course, one of the major components to talk about this one is the pose. I really like that iconic shot where she has her boot up on the side with her helmet sitting on the throne beside her. This one, she's kind of sitting on it more like a chair. We don't have that really cool iconic pose. It's a little bit of a shame, but I do understand the distorted proportions of Funko Pop vinyl figures may have meant that trying to sculpt her in that specific pose may just not have worked very well. Maybe her head was tipped over to the side. Obviously, we can't put a helmet beside her. A helmet for this figure would be this big. It is not going to fit over here like a proper sized helmet to her body would be about this big, and sitting over here, it's going to just look odd. So obviously, we don't have the helmet sitting beside her. A little bit of a shame we don't have her boots up over here, but I am just glad that we have her on the throne. Obviously, a little bit of a spoiler, the throne does get destroyed destroyed when her palace is bombed, so I don't think we will see this particular throne later on in the Mandalorian series. So I am glad that it is at least here in the Funko Pop vinyl form. I would love something like this as a deluxe accessory from a Hasbro toy line. I think that would be really cool. Of course, it kind of gives me a bit of the Emperor Palpatine throne sort of vibes as well, particularly with these sort of angled arms here. I just think she looks really cool. Let's go over the paintwork. I love her bobbling head here as well. One of the things with those plastic clamshells over the figures is it does make it a little bit hard to spot through all those layers of plastic if there is a specific paint floor. I did get the chance to see this one in the store, and as best I could tell through the plastic, she had a pretty clean face. Because she has just this big wide expanse of flesh toned paint here, I was really hoping that I could find one without any sort of flaws on it. It's always a little bit off-putting when the eyes or eyebrows or anything else is sort of smudged. Upon closer inspection, there is one tiny little paint flaw, but I'm not even really sure if it's going to show up on camera. There is kind of a tiny little sort of shiny patch right by her eye here that is just a little bit more of a yellow tone. It's not really a paint flaw. I can barely sort of see it when I tip it in the light. I can just make it out. May not even show up on camera. It's definitely better than some I have seen. Certainly, I've got very nice tidy paint job here with the eyebrows and the eyelashes, which is kind of the core component here. Generally speaking, sometimes the hair can be a little bit wonky in terms of where it's glued or painted and stuff like that. But because we've got this fabulous metallic silver headband kind of covering that join, it hides everything quite nicely there, all tucked away under the join. It's all glued on very nicely. Nothing's askew, so I think that does a pretty good job of framing her face. Looks fantastic. Her head does hit the back of this. You can see that there is not much of a gap, and when she bobbles, I can kind of feeling it hitting against here at the back. So this is one I'm going to be a little bit careful bobbling around, just because I don't want a lot of paint transfer over time. In terms of her costume detail, again, pretty tidy here. She has a lot going on her Mandalorian armor here. We've got silver, blue, gray, brown, all sorts of tiny details here. And everything looks to be fairly well painted. We even have the little night owl symbols on her shoulder armor there. And again on this side over here. Nice and tidy. And we can even see in the back she has her little silver jetpack on in there as well. It looks so tiny scaled in there. It's very, very cute. And we've got a little bit of a blue fabric sash there. And we've got brown for sort of a bit of a fabric underneath that she is sitting on. We can just see it down between her legs there. It is draped over the edge. We can sort of see the brown detail paintwork in there. We've got a little bit of sort of inset weathering here, dark grey into the front of the throne. I really like that. The one little spot that is drawing my eye is the paintwork of the Star Wars logo here on the front. It's just a little bit, I don't want to say sloppy, but we've got two specific patches. We've got a little bit of an extra sort of, just a little bit sort of softer in a couple of these places, just where it's not quite around the edges. And we've got a bit of a black dot over here. Again, I'm nitpicking. This is pretty tidy. I've seen worse. But yes, overall, I'm pretty happy with her. It's always, a bit disappointing when you buy, especially one of the pricier Pop Funkos, and you find some flaws. But overall, her face looks good. Her pose looks good. Everything's glued in well. We don't have sort of glue residue around her boots or anything like that. And on the whole, everything looks tidy there, including the sort of the stone effect here for the throne as well. Pretty nice overall. We can see that there is a little bit of sort of plastic difference in some of those areas. It's a little bit darker here on the back, but we're generally not going to see that. We can see the sort of the finish there down the sides, looking very nice, very even all over. I like the sort of stone texture to it as well. We can particularly see that along the base there. So one of the things that I thought was interesting was this one has visible screws on the underside, which is something I haven't come across very often with my Funko Pop Vinyl Deluxe ones. We can see the Lucasfilm and Funko stamps there on the underside. If I just grab another Deluxe Funko that I have on hand, which is the Queen Amidala on the throne, you can see this one doesn't have visible screws. It's just a plain base. All the sort of attachment points are hidden on the underside. And just for the sake of comparison, I think it's really fun that we've got a growing number of female Star Wars characters sitting on thrones. I think this looks pretty cool. I probably won't have them on display side by side, so it's fun to see them side by side here now. I think they look pretty cool. So I'll just pop that one off to the side. I just thought it was interesting that I could see the screws on that one. So for the sake of another comparison, I have here the standard Pop Funko 463. I believe this is the chase version without the helmet. So there we go. We can see we've got all of those same details on her armor. Putting them side by side, I do see one difference here. And if I turn them to the side, you can see that we have the little lights in the side of her headband are painted with yellow and red. Here we don't have those colors accented there. It is just plain silver. We don't have those painted there on her headband there. So I think that's interesting. The standard one does have the night owl. We can see the jetpack and everything like that. All of the same details, just in a sitting down pose. But I think it's really fun to have so many different versions of Bo-Katan. She was such an important central character in the season 3 of The Mandalorian. I hope we see more of her in The Mandalorian. I feel like her story isn't over yet. And I absolutely love Katie Sackhoff in her portrayal of Bo-Katan on screen. I need more of her for sure. So there, I think these two look really well together. I like having Bo-Katan Funkos with her helmet off. Of course, it doesn't exactly look like Katie Sackhoff. You don't really get likenesses with Funko, but there's just something about the way that they sculpt the faces. I can see her with her helmet off on screen. I can sort of imagine her face. These two look really good together. I feel like the blues are a pretty good color match between these two as well. We've got pretty good silver in the detail. I think the browns might just be a tiny bit different, particularly in the boots. We've just got a very subtly different color tone of brown, but on the whole, I think they look pretty good if you want to display these two together. They look like a matching set there. Really fun. So great getting more Star Wars collectibles from this great Star Wars character. Absolutely loving her on the show, and I'm so happy to finally have this iconic Mandalorian throne version of Bo-Katan Kryze for my collection. I think she looks fantastic. She doesn't have any major flaws and nothing's broken. It all looks very tidy. I'm very happy. So there you go. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today as I opened up another Star Wars collectible, checked out all of the details, and had a lot of fun. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the galaxy, and let's hang out again soon for more Star Wars fun. May the Force be with you. If you're a Funko Pop vinyl fan, I recently unboxed the Queen Amidala on Throne Deluxe figure. That video is linked here in case you haven't already seen it, as well as our whole Funko unboxing playlist. This is the way.